Okay, right. I just did a load of invites out there. There's a lot of spaces on right about now, though, as well. A hell of a lot of spaces on right now.
Yeah, I've noticed. So I mean, we can kick it off if you want. We can wait for a few more people to join in. It's up to you.
Totally up to you, bro. You're hosting, bro, so it's just totally down to you.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a recorded space, so I might as well kick it off. Hey Gordon, how's it going? But if you guys would like to introduce yourselves first and foremost, let's start with you, Nat. Then let's go to Rush, Nat, and I, then Craig.
Okay, Nat Atlas, Nat Cole, stand chapter lead, heading up what is called Stacks London, UK's #1 Stacks community, focusing on teaching people more about the Web3 space through what the Web3 space is, and that's Bitcoin. So orange and purple pilling all the way, trying to get as many people focusing, building and creating on Bitcoin, on using Bitcoin in creative ways as possible. I like all Bitcoin ecosystem and L2s to come together at some point, which quite recently has been happening with Bitcoin Unleashed. So glad to see that and happy to be here.
Yeah, so
Rush,
I'm Raish. I'm Raish. I work as a BD for Stacks London, primarily looking in terms of how we can grow our community base for builders and how we can do partnerships with other ecosystems, mainly to bring, again, builders or enthusiasts into the Bitcoin ecosystem through Stacks to grow our presence here in UK.
Awesome, Nat and I.
Yo, greetings. I go by Nat Nai. I'm a community builder for Stacks London, and I'm an artist, a Web3 artist, Web FREE artist, and my goals and ambitions is to essentially empower artists through the power of Web3 Bitcoin stacks.
And yeah, I'm Ben. I have been investing in Bitcoin and crypto for almost a decade. Good Lord. And I've been a community builder with Stacks London for like 6 months. I've ran a few spaces and I'm currently cooking up something new to try and contribute to the Bitcoin and Stacks ecosystems here in the UK and hopefully everywhere else.
Beautiful introduction, guys. So we're pretty pumped. We just finished up with Bitcoin Unleashed London not too long ago, and we figured we'd go over some of that first, and figured we'd just interview our guys who were there, starting with Nat. How was your guys' experience at Bitcoin Unleashed London?
I mean, Bitcoin Unleashed London was definitely a great experience, I would say, from my own standpoint, because as you guys already know, and as any of our earlier followers would know, and also I see Gordon down there, so shouts out to Gordon as well, Stacks Australia. Bringing Bitcoin Unleashed to London was definitely one of the first goals that we had before we even, really came up with Stacks London. Like Stacks London wasn't really a thing at that point. It was like just realizing how awesome the Stacks ecosystem was and what people were doing to build on Bitcoin, and just having the amount of network that I have in the UK, just kind of saying to myself that, why isn't anybody talking about this? And then seeing what had happened with Unleashed in Miami the previous year, it was like, like we really need to kind of like get this like happening in the UK and have like a Bitcoin Unleashed in the UK, because it's a good way of bringing back what I would say London's predominantly Bitcoin scene. Prior to, I'd say, the pandemic, Bitcoin events got a lot more attention, and anybody saying that they were doing anything with Bitcoin or even saying that you were like a Bitcoin exchange or anything like that would be like, a must go to event. And I think that kind of died out a lot after the pandemic, due to the fact that Bitcoin kind of got the message of Bitcoin, or the message of the space, kind of got swallowed up by the whole kind of like NFT thing, and what was going on in Ethereum. So I just feel that the London community became very splintered, and not that Bitcoin itself isn't very splintered over time. I just felt that we needed to bring that feeling back, and bringing Unleashed to London, really kind of is a bit of a 360 for us in Stacks London, given that it was like the first target before before we had any other targets, or Stacks London even had a name. So yeah.
Rush.
Oh, it was great, man. I actually loved every moment of Bitcoin Unleashed. Um, we connected quite a lot of individuals at the event with other parties. I spoke to quite a few venture capital allocators there, and they were really balling at the opportunity of investing in some of the projects there. There's a lot of keen interest by other developers who just came to Bitcoin. I even had one comment from somebody who went to Bitcoin Amsterdam, and the guy made this. He said that he enjoyed Bitcoin Unleashed far more than Bitcoin Amsterdam, mainly because we actually spoke about the utility of the network, what can be done there, what's being built, what's the game plan in the next 12 months. Right now, with SBTC, for example, they were all blown away. The developer track, if anybody had attended it, man, that was so good. We had some of the brightest minds within Stacks ecosystem there. I truly enjoyed it. It was a ball of a time, especially the social evenings. I have no. I kind of miss it a lot, to be honest. And I think Nat and Craig did an amazing job over there, to be honest, when they were hosting for interviews and all. But overall, I had a great time there.
Awesome. Nat, now you want to give your experience?
Yeah, I second what Resh said. Yeah, it was a great experience. Bitcoin Unleashed, a lot of great minds. People were very friendly, open, relaxed, enjoying each other's company and sharing varying points of views and knowledge bases upon Bitcoin and the Bitcoin ecosystem and Stacks as well upon it. It was good, and yeah, working as a team, as a Stacks London team was good. My co-pilot Ben Richer, like doing the interviews, grabbing people, sitting them down, talking, chatting, picking the brains, all of that was great.
Ben?
Yeah, it was my first sort of event as a community builder, and yeah, it was my first sort of predominantly sort of Stacks focused event that I'd been to. Obviously, been to various Bitcoin and sort of just crypto in general.
Can anyone hear Ben?
Yeah, we can all hear him, bro.
Yeah, we all good. I'm gonna act like we're all good. Yeah. It was the first sort of crypto sort of Bitcoin and sort of specifically Stacks and building on Bitcoin focused event that I'd kind of worked at. And it was my first time seeing how, I thought I was going to get away with nobody else saying it, but seeing how like open and approachable, but as well how sort of willing to approach other people, all of builders were in the space, how willing people were to do.
Yeah, I'm having trouble
sit
with my
down.
spaces. I don't think I can hear Rush or Ben.
No, you can't hear Ben. So just I'll let you know as soon as he's done. Yeah.
No, we're having technical problems, guys. But yeah, it was just really eye-opening and really positive to see how approachable and friendly and like willing to approach others everybody was, all of the builders, the people from the Stacks Foundation as well. And it was a real kind of positive, vibrant, busy event. So yeah, it was real positive, real good. Yeah.
You know what I found interesting when Jameson Lobb came on board the first day, and he just shared. He said we are so early, people don't appreciate even at this stage. He said if you look at back when the email phenomenon started, it a lot of iterations in terms of at the back end technology wise before it reached it is today. And he said people think we are so far in advance, but building on Bitcoin, building on the network is so new. It's going to take a while, but once it kicks off, there's nothing stopping it. And I think that message for me was like, wow, we have RGB came and said how they are looking at using the Bitcoin network. We had somebody from Lightning Networks talking about it. We had individuals from Rootstock there, and they were sharing really interesting thing what they were doing. The technology was phenomenal, to be honest. The Bitcoin, especially the builders of Bitcoin, and they were sharing all the technical challenges in terms of how easy or how difficult it is to build on a network. Yeah, I thought that was really fascinating. What's going to be interesting is in the next 12 months because A16Z is in London. They just opened the office, I think, last week. Outlier Ventures came to the event. They are starting their own Bitcoin Accelerator program in the next couple of weeks. A16Z is starting in the summer or spring next year. There are a few other venture funds looking at that. I think the amount of builders that are going to come and look at building on the Bitcoin network doesn't matter what route they go to, Stacks, Rootstock, RGB, Lightning. We're going to see tremendous amount of usage of the network. And I think that price action will show up in the Bitcoin price the more the network is used. And that's going to be phenomenal. So that's the way I look at it, to be honest. Yeah, the event was fantastic for me.
Yeah, that's it's something that I found really encouraging as well. Seeing the amount of sort of, I know it's sort of a cliche almost thing to say, but seeing the amount of like big name firms from the TradFi world, be it sort of, I know there were people from KPMG there, as Resh has just mentioned, some of the real big VC firms, Outlier, etc. And yeah, it was real kind of encouraging to see those big names all the way down to some of the builders at the hackathon after the after Bitcoin Unleashed, the conference itself. Seeing so many people at the hackathon who were like uni students or first timers at anything like this who were just coming down and showing an interest. So again, yeah, just real positive.
I think Doc that's hosting the session, he can't hear anybody speak, to be honest. So I tell you, I'll take over then. Just to discuss in terms of the points that we listed earlier. Let me pull out my points because there are a lot of good discussion points that we made notes of.
Rush, I can hear everyone but Ben at the moment.
Oh, okay. He's done speaking.
Yeah. No. I just can't hear Ben, so I didn't know to stop speaking.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah. So, do you guys see events like these having a bigger impact on the Stacks and overall Bitcoin ecosystem? That was my next question for y'all. Nat?
Yeah, I mean, most certainly. I mean, as I said at the beginning, like having a notably sized event. Yeah, I think anywhere, right, is going to attract a lot more, a lot more attention. On the size of the event alone, and I think, as I said, for London specifically, it is that that event was able to reach a lot of people who were not actually thinking about Bitcoin, who we may have interacted with over the last year, that didn't think that it was really going on like that, basically, so to speak. So I think that that the event itself again brought together, because there was maxis there, laser eyes, or whatever you want to call them, like there was all types of Bitcoiners, and crypto and Web3 enthusiasts, and people not even from the Web3 space, that were had actually turned up to just see what was going on. So I think that that definitely having events of that kind of size, or that kind of stature, definitely appeals anywhere, right? And I know in all of the regions that Stacks is activating on a community level. I mean, you've got Gordon down there from Stacks Australia. We've got the guys in Nigeria, doing their thing. Although it's not really necessarily an official chapter, they're still doing stuff. And if they were to have like an event like Bitcoin Unleashed in those regions, it would definitely garner a hell of a lot more people, especially even if from, as we said, like the laser eyes coming in just to see what's actually happening, and actually delve deeper into what's going on. I like the fact that Resh also highlighted the developer area in the event, which was more like a silent disco style presentation. So everyone was in there with headphones on, listening to the developers, or listening to the builders speaking about the things that they were developing. So that was like really, really cool, and I think different for the people that were more technical minded that had attended, because they could work on their laptops, or listen to take notes, and do tasks or whatever it is, completely undistracted at all. So yeah, that was really, really cool. And yeah, I just think that having these events, as I said, of these size, of this stature, is going to absolutely help anywhere, and it most definitely helped in London for people to I would say take what we're doing as a chapter a lot more seriously.
Man, that sounds awesome. I'm still jealous that I couldn't make it, man, for real. Rush, go on ahead, man.
To be honest, I don't actually have anything to add from what I just said earlier. To be honest, predominantly just because I think next year, if we do it next year again, the event, I think it'll be great to have, in terms of what investors or what VCs are looking to invest in, mainly discuss that. I think that will be very interesting for developers who want to build on Bitcoin to listen to it. I think it'll be also interesting to see people who are developing really cool art aspects of it. Like that nice artist himself, to see people go on stage and say like culture stuff, how the network is being used for that. Because right now everybody's just focusing on two matters: DeFi, DAOs. I think we need to see more variation of that. I think culture is one of the elements that I would like to see this year, if we do it.
Awesome. Nat and I? Yo, Nat and I, you there?
Now I'm wondering if he can hear you. You might.
Yeah,
There you go. He's there.
yeah. Repeat the question, please. The doc.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if you thought events like Bitcoin Unleashed London have like a big overall impact on Stacks and the overall Bitcoin community and ecosystem, man.
Yeah, definitely. There's nothing like, I can't remember who said it. It could have been you, Natco. But yeah, about someone just made a good point about there's nothing like meeting people face to face in person. And yeah, I feel like a lot of people got that Like some people had Jenny from the STX Foundation. She was like, she had known a few people for years online, but to meet people in person was something extra special. So, yeah, if the more the better, really, in my view, just for the energy alone, the morale.
Ben?
Yeah, I think it's good to get people together on a regular basis, as people have said prior, for just the kind of bringing people in this sort of niche community together, so that even through hard times such as the crypto bear market that we're hopefully sort of coming out of right now, to kind of keep people going, keep people building, and keep people kind of connected. I think that it's good in terms of almost the PR, the sort of public reputation, if you like, of Stacks, because I think for the size of the project that it is in terms of its market cap within the sort of crypto sector, etc., it is one of the sort of least known of the top market cap projects. And from a PR basis alone, yeah, I think it's a positive thing to kind of get Stacks' name out there within and sort of by hosting these real kind of professional, polished, kind of high quality in-person events. So yeah, real positive. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I just seen his mic go off, so I'll just use that as my sign. But nice one, Craig. What you guys hope the community gathers out of events like these?
I mean, the first thing, obviously, for I'll say, speaking for the London community, is that the London community are able to see that there is a lot more going on in the ecosystem than they might have been able to explore as yet. Secondly, it lets them know that there is really big things going on, and there really is really like big events and big initiatives that they can get involved with, rather than just the smaller meetups and getting involved with like developer track and stuff like that. That there is like this kind of like behemoth of an event, that they can possibly get involved in any way. And I mean, I'm sure we'll get onto the discussion about the hackathon in a little while, and how well that was received as well, because that was like just totally packed with very well, like developers young and old, so very much an eclectic mix of developers in there.
Yeah, we'll jump right into that before the roadmap. Anyone have anything else to add to that?
No, I think Nat covered that pretty well, to be honest. I was just going to echo what he said, but he covered that really well.
Awesome. So how will events? Yeah, that's kind of the same one. What can we do to help bring another event like Unleashed to London?
I mean, I was going to let Resh go there, but yeah, I would have said definitely more activation on the ground from the chapter, and definitely me and Resh are working hard, connecting with all of the people that we know within the ecosystems, and different communities around, the UK. Further to that, two of our closest partners are two of the kind of largest communities for crypto within London and the UK, and those two are CoinScrum, which is the longest running crypto event or Bitcoin event in the UK, and which was established all the way back in 2012, which I, for disclosure purposes, also am the event manager for. And there is also Crypto Days London, we have a very close knit relationship with them. And if you've obviously been following us for a while, then you'll see that we did an event in partnership with them back in June, which was focused around bringing regulators, lawyers, developers, and also the public together to discuss, the kind of code is law adage, and can code be law, and really just explore where we're going, with this technology, and how regulation can either help or hinder, and how the public and people coming into the space as enthusiasts can be engaged, and how developers can develop either compliant code, or how lawmakers how the code is actually being written, or regulators should be looking at how the code is actually being written, because we can see that even from cases such as the no cash, which is quite recently, judge in that case, is kind of teetering to the side of code cannot be law, or code cannot be freedom of speech, shall I say, rather than code cannot be law. But yeah, so it's interesting to have these kind of debates to really be able to open up the floor and formulate any kind of regulation or interactivity between regulators, developers, and the people that are building within the space. And I think overall, because this is a decentralized space that we're in, it is a lot around self-regulation as well, and people being able to understand what affects people, or what affects what triggers, shall we say, a reaction from regulators, or from from a customer safety aspect, or from a user safety aspect, and it's all educational, in the end of the day. So yeah, those two communities, partnering with those has been a blessing. And just us doing more activation, and different types of programming, different type of programs as a chapter, I think will help to bring a lot more I don't want to say users, but a lot more enthusiasts from different angles into the space.
Beautiful, beautiful. Anyone have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, I'll jump in just for a second here. I think that ourselves within Stacks London, there is a real opportunity for us to kind of get, I know it's cliche, but to get focused going into the end of this year and the beginning of next year, when hopefully the wider crypto sector is coming out of a bear market, and that whether it's the sort of ourselves at Stacks London, or the wider kind of Stacks community in the UK, or the various sort of people that we've got in here right now who represent different groups all across the world, I think there's a chance for us, as the sort of community-led projects that have sprang up around the world, to just think from real basic first principles perspectives on how are we going to make Stacks and the projects being built on Stacks, how are we going to let the masses know about that in as accessible and as easy a way as possible, so that this project can grow and hopefully be worth what a lot of us think that it could be worth.
Nice, nice. So, I guess, yeah, let's dive in real quick to the hackathon. Let's talk about that. How'd that go?
So, I'll jump in first here. I a hackathon both days. The first day was absolutely packed. There was like 100 people there, easy. As Nat has said previously, all kinds of people from first year undergrad students at one of the surrounding unis, through to people who have like built and had funded multiple projects already. People who, like myself, their only coding experience was from like codeacademy.com courses through to people with PhDs in computer science, and it was real good to I was like surprised how busy and sort of just vibrant and buzzing the kind of the whole thing was. Yeah, it was super impressive.
Anyone have anything to add to that?
I think what's interesting about the hackathon was the way it was done. We used EZA as a partner, well, Stacks Ecosystem did. And what's fantastic about that, they develop really great content. They know how to develop content for developers, to be honest. If anybody has not used the app before, just download it. It was like super brilliant, to be honest, how engaging it was to complete the entire program. On the day itself, I unfortunately didn't attend that, but I was literally having a FOMO experience. The videos that was being posted continuously. I know Jesse was telling me, Jesse from Stacks Foundation, he was saying that the amount of talent that was at the event was insane. And if you look at the number of individuals who came for the hackathon, don't forget Stack. They learned everything Stacks remotely. There's no in-person place where they can learn. We had 300, I think 300 people come on board just for the hackathon for 2 days, just to showcase what they can build, and they competed. And there were some projects literally using AI now on Bitcoin as well. I thought that was really fascinating how they're incorporating something that cutting edge into the network. Yeah, I had a FOMO experience. I won't lie. I'm really looking forward personally to learn more about this, how we can use AI here. So yeah, let's see how it goes in the next 6 to 12 months. I really, this is going to be one of the many hackathons that are going to take place in the coming 12 months.
Dude, that sounds awesome. So, honestly, I'm kind of interested at the moment about the AI thing. So, how are they incorporating it? Do you like?
So I unfortunately am not able to share much about that just because I do not know about that. But I saw earlier, I think Bitcoin Startup Labs literally had a space earlier on today talking about AI and Bitcoin. So I'm going to listen back later in terms of what was shared there by Albert. But I do not know incorporating. There are a lot of interesting projects, to be honest. Payment rails using SBTC. There were, I think, yeah, there's somebody who's developing something of not OnlyFans, but I think a creator economy on Bitcoin using Bitcoin network. So that will be interesting to see as well. Yeah, but I do not know how they incorporate AI.
I think when I was sort of having a walk around, seeing what people were doing, one of the projects that I remember, really sorry guys, so they were a team out of a particular uni. I can't remember what. Some of them were grads, some of them were post grads. But they were trying to use AI to essentially do like a price comparison between a few different exchanges that they had the APIs for, to find the best price and generate the best on screen, real simple, on a sort of swap Bitcoin to theoretically SBTC. Just a little application. What do they call it? A web widget wallet that they built. And yeah, there were a couple of other projects as well, but that is the one that I remember. They were using like an LLM to search essentially quotes, I guess, on the price of swapping BTC to SBTC or RAP etc. From a few different venues. And yeah, I'm not sure how they got on, but I thought that was a real clever idea.
Awesome, awesome. So we're gonna jump questions over now to the roadmap, and going forward, Matt, what can we expect Q1 to look like for Stacks London of next year?
Okay, well, there are a few things that we've got coming up. It's a pretty deep question, but a few things that we've got coming up. I'd say the first one is we're working on the developer track program that we announced earlier on this year. We ran our first developer track session, taster session in September, which was pretty well received, and we want to kind of expand on that going into the new year. So focusing on bringing a lot more builders, more from maybe a blockchain and smart contracting perspective into the community and getting them building using stacks and SBTC. There's definitely areas of focus for us, and then following on from that, as I mentioned earlier on in the D grant space, is that we also are going to be focusing quite a bit on creators as well. So that will be something that we start to pick up on a bit more. I know Nat9 is definitely going to be instrumental in bringing that forward. And those are kind of like the two main things that we're kind of be focusing on, like creators in the music space and developers, like who are looking at core blockchain development, SBTC development, and utilizing SBTC. And then some of the other things that we have coming up is obviously the meetups again, and a more hybrid approach to how we're running different types of events or initiatives. So that should be quite exciting as well. Quite a lot of partners that we're talking to as well, outside of just event partners. So whether that be whether that be for like local exchange listings, or whether that be for partnering and bringing projects to other partners, or people who are interested in funding Bitcoin initiatives, Bitcoin focused initiatives, then yeah, those are the people that we're kind of speaking to going into the new year. And yeah, obviously that the roadmap section, of things, the definitive roadmap is already, well, the overview of the roadmap is already available anywhere community that you find Stacks London. We've posted it before in the timeline in Twitter. We've posted it, in our console. We've posted it into our Discord. It is available, I think, in our Telegram as well. It will be on our website very soon. And then the more intricate kind of like finer details of what will be happening, firstly in Q1, will be in the coming week or so. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Hold on, let me get him back up here real quick. I don't know if. All right, so the next question was going to be. We got some real exciting stuff coming up, but the next question was going to be, what efforts will Stacks London make to help bring more attention and focus to Stacks, Ordinals, and Bitcoin?
Resh, maybe you want to answer this one here.
What was the question again? Sorry.
What efforts will Stacks London be making to bring more focus to Stacks, Ordinals, and Bitcoin?
So we got a few things on the pipeline at the moment, but we are still dependent in terms of quite a number of things. Number one, resources to get it off the ground. If we get the resources and we have we got the platform, one of the elements we're focusing on is to bring developers. We're trying to get in touch with a lot of developers, either educate them for interest on Clarity and Stacks in general, onboard them, show them in terms of the ropes, have more events with our community partners, just to outreach using their networks. Net has a great set of networks down south in London, so I think we're going to leverage that. Outside of London, I think that's where the opportunity is, to be honest. For UK, everything is concentrated there. But if you look at outside of London, like Birmingham, Newcastle, Manchester, Liverpool, there's not much happening up here. And I think there's a lot of untapped resources for people to know about. You can build on Bitcoin, and we want to reach out there. The route is to go to higher education platforms before you reach out to other avenues or entrepreneurs and all, and just show them like, look, this is what you can do, and we're here to guide you. We'll give you the resource, we'll give you the support, and potentially we give you connections in terms of if you want to be an entrepreneur, how to go about doing it. Of course, all these things are heavily dependent on the resource we can obtain. So that's part of the roadmap in terms of we have in plan. So we're working towards executing that.
Awesome. Beautiful. So you guys kind of answered this in the last one, but I can throw it up there anyway. What steps is Stacks London taking to onboard new developers? I mean, it was kind of answered.
Yeah, it's kind of repeat, to be honest.
Like, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot
So,
of things.
all right. So the final question for you and Nat then is, what does it take to what goes into running a chapter? What goes into running a chapter?
Nat, you want to take this one first? I got a lot to say.
Yeah, I think that's like a 10 million part space. You know. But I would say just from the outset is that I think to run any community, whether in or outside of the Web3 or crypto or Bitcoin space, the first that you're going to need is dedication and conviction. And then I would say, if I was to give things, dedication, conviction, and resilience. Because to operate any kind of startup or any kind of community, kind of three things are very, very key. Is that you need to be definitely convicted in what you're trying to do and what you're speaking about, and what you're presenting. You need to be dedicated because you need to be doing it all the time, even though it's not like a full-time job. Like sometimes, like it is a full-time, right? Almost. So, you have to have that, and you have to have resilience, because not all of the time, especially not in a bear market, is everything going to be happy days. So you need to be able to bounce back, and you need to be able to pivot, and you need to be able to think quickly, and you need to be able to take in what's going on around you, not just what's going on for you. So definitely, like, those would be the first three things that I would say. And then pertaining to stacks in particular, I would say you would need to definitely but definitely have a Bitcoin first approach for doing. And I'm not saying that there isn't people within the Stacks ecosystem or projects or anything within the Stacks ecosystem that are kind of like everything, Web3 everything, and that are still, successful in getting across the message of Stacks itself or that. But I think when you have a bit first approach, which most of the community has, when you have that Bitcoin first approach, you're able to kind of really kind of put the entire message of this entire space across before you then delve into saying stacks. Because you need to be convicted about stacks, you need to be like 100% convicted about Bitcoin. You can't be like 99% with Bitcoin, and then say, I'm convicted with stacks, because it just doesn't make any sense, right? So you need to be like definitely somewhat knowledgeable and somewhat, if not willing to delve really deep into Bitcoin itself to understand what Stacks' role is in the wider picture of this whole entire thing. But yeah, again, as I said, if we go into all of the intricacies of being able to run a chapter, yeah, it is really, really deep. Outside of those things that you can control as an individual, I would say that definitely need to have a strong team around you, and definitely need to have you know, a very kind of interested and engaged a set of community builders like the one that we have here, and I can see also Sam down there who's also kind of joined in with the Stacks Australia community from the same kind of community builder angle, and has become, you know, a permanent fixture as part of that team. So that is definitely, you know, important.
All right, that was, yeah, definitely hard work, dedication. I swear, Net's a guy I know that, I don't know, probably spends days a week on it fully. I mean, I've been able to call him. I'm over in the U.S. for those who don't know, and I'm able to call him most of the time, and he answers. He's like, "Yo, I'm just working on this right now," or "Yo, I'm just finishing up on this." And it's like it could be like 11 o'clock for me, which is like 4 a.m. for him, and I'm like, "Man, what?" Like, yeah. So seriously, hats off to you. And we're gonna jump over real quick to Nat and I and Ben and talk about what they've been doing for Stacks London, their roles, and how they see what they're doing benefiting the community and what their plans are going forward.
And before we jump into that, I'd definitely like to jump back on that question again that we just had, and bring Gordon up if or Sam up as well. You know,
Yeah.
for that question.
Honestly, yeah. Let's bring Gordon up for a second before we jump into the next. Gordon, if you're down.
Or Sam, even, because they are also running a chapter.
Oh,
so
Sam. Yeah. Either or, man. I sent both invites. We'll see.
We've caught them both, so they've both gone for a pee at the same time, haven't we?
Yeah, more than likely. We'll see though.
we could continue on and always come back to those guys and bring them up towards the end. So yeah.
There we go. Gordon, did you want to reflect on that question as well?
Sorry, I was just making our way out of an apartment we stayed in overnight. So just I missed that question.
It's what goes into running a Stacks chapter.
Yeah, well, it's pretty involved process, I guess. First of all, I think getting a deep understanding of stacks for starters. So I guess anyone that's been here near Sam, myself, we took it upon ourselves to, we're a lot newer to stacks than say Doc or maybe some of you guys. So it took a lot to dive in and really get an understanding of what's going on in the ecosystem and make yourselves known. But learning from others, just got totally immersed. So I think that was one of the important things, that if you're going to hold some meetups and that can be of benefit. But saying that too, doesn't really matter if you come into an ecosystem, you want to do something, you can just dive in. But we went through a whole program with Nat, through with the foundation provided, through all kinds of facets. And yeah, hats off to you guys in implementing all of the facets of like managing a community like Discord, your console, your Telegram, your Twitter. You guys are super active. I don't know how you manage it also.
Are you referring to Stacks Adbox?
No, just watching you guys put together everything to build your community. It's quite incredible. You guys have done an amazing job. So yeah, similarly, we're on that similar path. You've got to handle your Hero Gamer says it really well. You've got two spaces that we operate in. One is the online world, which is there's a lot of people and a lot of support. And then out in the local ground, you've got the events. So I think that's where the chapters are most important, that you're out there doing the in real life stuff and bringing them in. I think it's also an important thing to create a personal experience for people that you touch with. And that's a difficult task because they come in and most people that I find new coming into the ecosystem, they're looking for someone to support their project. They've got a great idea, or they think they've got a great idea. they're usually looking for funding. So don't hang around because, it's where is the funding? You're up. Where's the funding? If you're not if it's not something that the chapters, the foundation would support, where's the funding? So yeah, I've got some interesting things that I'll look forward to talking with Adam and Nat about, and anyone that about how we do manage those people incoming. Yeah, I think the community grants program's really a benefit. It's really invigorating the community and bringing people together. So yeah, but for us, I think it's a lot of it's about in real life events as well as managing the online spaces.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, it's I believe, especially working, in a Web3 or in a crypto space, you're doing a lot of online work. You're constantly working from home, and I think a huge important part of these meetups in person is just being able to actually make a physical connection with people. It's something like people need, because I mean, when you're stuck at home, a lot of people deal with depression and whatnot, and being able to go see others in that sort of space, I can see being very, very enlightening and just an overall great time.
Yeah, 100%. I think you said something real good there, Doc, in um like imagine saying to any other generation apart from the people alive right now that those that you work with and those that you collaborate with on some sort of big project you have never met and you talk to them through a plastic box in your house. Like,
Yeah, dude,
um,
exactly. And I can hear you
yeah,
perfectly now, man. So great.
yeah, sweet. And it's like I think it's hard coded into our like DNA as people that we see those that we work with in the physical space. And yeah, I think that it's something that we sort of fundamentally need as people, and that's why these kind of events and particularly the kind of atmosphere that Nat and I and the other people behind Stacks London, past and present, are able to create at these in-person events that is sort of so much value. Yeah, as you say, Doc.
Exactly. And I believe like it's not really spoken on a lot. And hats off to Kalani. She has quite a few, like The Untold Story, and I believe she saw in color, and a few other like messages within Web3, like NFTs, whatnot, about, people dealing with, mental illness such as depression, ADHD, bipolar disorder, just stuff like that that's not super talked about. And this sort of work can also, really make it worse, because you're just not having that in-person connection all the time. So it's honestly like, I believe these meetups are almost a necessity. Um, so yeah, let's jump over to Nat and I real quick, and Ben, and get with those questions, because the space has, I mean, I can talk for quite a bit longer, but the space has been going on for a minute now. So, how'd you guys see what you're doing for Stacks London? Benefit the community. What are your plans going forward with Stacks London? And yeah, I think that's the question for Nat and I and Ben. Nat, if you want to go first.
Yeah, give thanks, Doc. I think Gordon had his hand up. I'm not sure if he wanted to say something.
Yeah, guys, I was just listening to you talking about the taking things from one thing that we've been using here, and it was quite effective. We had a meetup at the RMIT University while we're down here in Melbourne, and it was using the Bitcoin builders. You're talking about all the, really creating a mini event of the Bitcoin Unleashed. So it was quite interesting who turned up. There was actually a lot of Stacks people turned up, people I didn't know about, and there was different young devs that had had a bit of a play around with Clarity, or maybe they had a play around. I didn't get to them, but I will be this week. Maybe they had to play around with clarity before the event, but it brought out, you know, people that were building with ordinals. It brought out people that were building with other projects. We had a VC turn up, a couple VC type guys, one experienced, one new, and they're all very interested, and they're very yeah, quite interested in the layers on Bitcoin. So we did it on layers on Bitcoin, but using the Bitcoin, you know, that whole Bitcoin, so breaking that barrier. The Bitcoin Builders Association sort of breaks that barrier between the Bitcoin only community, the Bitcoin Maxi community, and all the other communities. So you found that to be pretty effective. I know that the meetup ticket sales go to, well, the meetup actually has their own meetup page, so you sort of don't really have control over the back end of it per se. But we use the meetup page as well as an Eventbrite page. So we did the event through Eventbrite and posted that every good, so we could capture the people we wanted to. But from the foundation to leave that, to take that from that. So Resh, you were talking about other cities. We did this one meetup in Melbourne, and so I'll follow up, and we put it up to the people there to take it forward in that city. So called for some people to stand up and take over the meetup and run the meetups, and you know, have a meeting with Adam or whoever runs the meetups, and to take it forward. So I thought that was we're working on using that as an effective model to get a bigger crowd.
Awesome.
I think you guys did that similar at the university.
Yeah, something similar to that. All right. So Nat and I and Ben, did you want to answer that question?
Yes. So, well, this coming Monday, we have the Web3 Music Poetry Show, Stacks London's Web3 Music Poetry Show, hosted by myself. This one is just going to be a solo one. I'm going to talk about the arts and the role of music in general, but also in like today. And, you know, there's a whole lot of things going on, and certain sections of society is like, where is the music artist's voice? Why don't they talk on serious matters and such? So that's the type of conversation I want to talk about, and how I feel like basically, essentially, this whole show is, and how I see Stacks and Bitcoin really is the same mission for freedom and autonomy and control of one's own destiny, essentially, is aligned with what the artist strives for as well. So beyond the materialistic need of fame and fortune, what we really, really want is to be able to fulfill our purpose as artists, essentially. And I feel like the Web2 setup, it promised so much, but it was really, when you actually lift the lid, it's really been quite bad for the artist and subsequently society, in my point of view. But I can see how Web3 can actually be very empowering to the artist. So my role really is to just bang the drum as loud as possible. The Web3 Music and Poetry Show it's been moving at a stage. I was chatting to Nat Cole earlier, and it's like, when you're spinning so many plates, it's very difficult to put your maximum energy or to deliver a project at its maximum. But my intention is to consolidate and do all that I can to essentially orange and purple pill the artists, so that the artists can fulfill their potential. And I feel like the ultimate goal is when we're able to fulfill our potential, the world becomes a better place. And that is literally what drove me towards Bitcoin and Stacks, is the fact that there was a vision there to make this world a better place, and that's what I'm about.
Nat, have you been talking to Trip and Monkey at all?
Yes, I have. We're gonna have more conversations.
Yeah, awesome, because he's Jason to work with poets and poetry, so that's awesome. Great stuff.
Yeah. So something, I guess, after seeing Unleashed and being I guess seeing the acts to people and how approachable people have been all sorts of people throughout the ecosystem and beyond. I jumped in to Stacks London about 6 months ago ish, and just kind of took on running a couple of streams because that was something that kind of people were wanting to do. And I have sort of thought about how I think I would be able to contribute something to the to sort of Stacks London, but Stacks and hopefully the Bitcoin ecosystem wider, that is of real value or could be of real value to some people. So something that I am planning is to create a series of sort of little content media clips on, well, just asking some super basic entry level questions to some of the people building some of the cool stuff in Bitcoin and Stacks ecosystems to try and sort of tease out these real simple first principles explanations of what it is that they're building and why they're excited about it. Yeah, that is the sort of aim, to really kind of tease out those explanations of what people are doing and yeah, get them recorded and put them out there just to demonstrate what is being built on Stacks, what Stacks is in super basic, tiny, easily sort of accessible, digestible clips for hopefully the onslaught of new people that will realize what an interesting project and ecosystem Stacks is over the next sort of year, 18 months, hopefully, of some sort of wider crypto bull market. So that is something that I'm working on right now. I'm kind of in the lab right now and putting that together. And yeah, I hope to be able to use, as I've seen, the real kind of friendliness and openness of people within this ecosystem. I was super fortunate, just as a sort of community builder who nobody really knew IRL, to talk to some real cool people, building some real cool things, some kind of big names in this little ecosystem, if you like. And people were super gracious, super open. And yeah, it's just inspired me to try and, yeah, capture some of these basic explanations to try and teach or just make people new to the ecosystem aware of how much is going on and the potential that is here. So yeah.
Beautiful, guys. You guys have been doing an excellent job. So we're about to wrap up here. We're gonna drop the mic on the ground real quick for anyone who wants to pick it up and may have some questions. Dave Eck, thanks for joining us in the last few minutes. But if you have any questions, feel free to pop up. Gordon, Sam, Nat and I, and Ben. Floor's open.
The floor is quiet, 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 quiet.
Hey, Dave
Yeah,
Eck, go
just
ahead.
definitely. I just had to say thank you everybody for coming out, and thank you people for jumping in and listening to our take of what we're doing going on for us next at Stacks London, and just in the wider Stacks ecosystem. If you haven't checked out Stacks yet, definitely check it out. Stacks.co or stacks.org for the Stacks Foundation. If you're around in the UK, in London, we're activating, we're active. Get active with us. That's stxldn.com. And you can find us same thing on all social media, STX LDN.
Yeah, David, did you have anything you wanted to say? Nah, he bounced back to listener. Oh, hold on, he requested again. What is going on? Yo.
Hey everyone. Can you guys all hear me?
Yes,
So
I can.
I think the thing that I've been really curious about, I've been spending quite a bit of time in Clarity, and I keep getting confused, or at least I'm having a more difficult time. Like everyone talks about building on top of, or L2, and everyone's doing all this stuff. But it seems, at least unless it's just me, but like what are some of the things that could bring clarity to understand more about building out Bitcoin?
Yeah, you want to take that question?
Repeat that question again, sorry.
Yeah, so like, for example, so it's like almost like a new model of something has to be evolved or created, right? And so like I look at Clarity, and again, I very little, but I think in this, Clarity says, okay, there's a built-in functions to capture rewards, right? And so I start thinking, all right, so how do I build something in Stacks that I take STX and then I can stack that and get get rewards in BTC. And so I start thinking of what do I build, because it's the only thing I've seen so far is like I want to build something so that I can leverage the STX rewards, so therefore I get some BTC to because I'm part of the process. And so it's like, what are some of the suggestions people are trying to build? Is it like, let's say you build a service that we all say to access this photo editing site, we're all going to stack a STX, and then through us putting 100 STX, we then put that in a group, and then we can contribute that to the to the pool, and then we can get some sort of like reward for stacking our STX as a group. Because I've done that, now collectively I've just earned some BTC, and then that BTC can like run off and we can all share in the rewards for stacking. So I guess I'm just looking for like what are some ways that people are creating L2, making certain new when they say building on top of, what's the reference of building on top of? Is it just utility, or is it like a new way of thinking of how we use STX and then get rewarded in Bitcoin?
Okay.
I'd say there's maybe two things in that in what you said, right? So first thing to answer really, I'd say, is what are the things that people are doing to utilize the, I would say, stacking feature more, right? One of the things that we began and we're still kind of working on, like in the background, is, like, for instance, community memberships, right?
Mm-hmm.
And being able to communally stack towards certain community activities or activations, or, as you said, ways that we can stack together to maybe even fund certain community build things. So there's a lot like with that, and there's a lot of ways to do it. But one of the ways that we're personally exploring is, how can we have community memberships work in a way that when people have the Stacks London NFTs, they can then also stack in a pool that is like a special pool where maybe they're able to have some kind of voting features, or as I said, contribute towards certain other things that are going on. And then when we talk about like the other side of what you were saying, which is like what are we building on top of to like get more stacks rewards, I think ultimately the goal of stacks really is more utility to Bitcoin, right? Yeah. Overall, like, and I say a lot of the time, and I think this is recognized, and a lot of members of the community talk about this, that we've talked about this in Purple Pill Fridays loads of times, that it's like almost like stacks is like on a suicide mission to prove, right? And I mean, when I say suicide mission, I mean with its own token, to prove that these things are available to do on Bitcoin, and that you can create more utility on Bitcoin using STX more, I would say, as a gas token, so that you're maybe not using Bitcoin directly. But I would say, again, that has kind of changed as well a little bit with the introduction of SBTC, which I'm sure you've probably looked at, which is you having a one-to-one pegged asset on Stacks, which you are able to then use your actual BTC to do complex smart contracts with Stacks. So as I said, it kind of down into two parts what you're saying, but I would say there's definitely people exploring the first part, as are we exploring how features with stacking. I know and I just seen Natalie jump in there as well, who was hosting a wonderful Stacks D Grants program music space earlier on, in which it was mentioned about using something called Boombox, which is created by a guy called Dan Trevino, who also runs the Purple Pill Friday spaces, and that's on every Friday, without a doubt. And that's it's like 5, I think, Eastern time, and like 10 o'clock UK time. So Dan has actually built a project that is very much like that, in a way where you can kind of like have people almost like fractionally invest or store value in an NFT inside of a container, which is what is the Boombox, and then earn a yield from that. So the people who are basically invested in that NFT, you can have different functionality for the NFTs, or different, let's say, yield mechanisms in how the NFT is able to gain yield. And I think the basic one is just that if you've locked up this NFT and over time it gains value, then the people who are staked in this NFT or stacked in this NFT are going to receive not only Bitcoin for their stacking, but also receive some stacks back at the end. So yeah, there are a few different things like around, and I'd say just definitely check Boombox. That's a good place to start.
Awesome, thank you.
Sorry, is it Davek or is it Dave K? How do I pronounce your screen name, man?
Dave K.
Sweet, lovely, Dave Ben.
My bad. I feel like an idiot now. I called you Davek or some shit.
Is it an
whatever,
Eastern
it doesn't matter.
European name? Is this guy's name Davek? Is he from a country that no longer exists or something? Or is he a Dave
what the
K?
hell? I'm sorry, guys. I feel
No.
bad. I didn't mean to slide your name, dude.
No, this day for Davek. I'm good.
There you go.
Dude,
Yeah,
dude, I'm gonna call you
you've
Davek
survived
now.
an Eastern European conflict. You've moved to America. You've got a whole backstory. It's tremendous.
Yeah.
Am I right? I'm not. Yeah. Am I right in thinking that you have a bit of a
All he
programming
needs to do is
background?
roll a 20 for perception, and we're good.
Am I right in thinking that you have some coding experience in the past, and you have come to sort of Bitcoin and crypto to see if there is something that you could build within this sort of ecosystem to kind of get yourself some magic internet money, and you are confused by some of the nomenclature that different material is using when it's talking about, quote, building on Bitcoin, and there's this idea of layer ones, layer twos, etc. And it's kind of, you're not quite sure what people are meaning when they're referring to those terms. Am I understanding your question right?
I mean, yes. I think for me, it's kind of like there's some information. There's a sense that I've already invested whatever I could invest in Bitcoin, so I'm holding my I hold. But then I have the idea, like I always have these awkward flashbacks where I like, it's just reiterating again, right? I remember when like the internet was booming, and then I'm like, dude, that's just freaking that's just a TCP/IP stack, or we're just like building on top of stuff. And so I sit there and I'm starting to go like, it right in front of our eyes, like they're starting to build this layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, and it's just going to keep going until we get to some like, here's the what is it, the ISO 7 layer or whatever, in physical to whatever, and so I keep trying to say like, what are they referring to? Because it's like very, very broad when someone's like, yeah, L2, like L2 could be massively broad until someone puts a cap on it, and then next thing you know, there's L3 and L4. But I'm
100%.
right, and I'm looking at it from the perspective of I want to do
What on
anything and
earth
everything I can.
actually are these things? Yes.
The funny thing about these saying that, right, is L2 at the moment for everything, as you just said, like this structure. I know you're talking about like the OSI model, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like right now, if you think about like Web3 and the OSI model, like right, and in the same terms, like I like to say this a lot of the time, like that Bitcoin is really layer 0. Yeah, like that is just like layer 0. Like none of this stuff exists without Bitcoin. Whether you want to think about it on the financial level, whether you want to think about it on a technical level, it doesn't matter, because if Bitcoin, let's say, financially crashes, right, what survives?
Well, it was So if Bitcoin crashes, the technology's still there. There's still a transmit of some data, right?
Exactly. So if Bitcoin crashes, technically, again, what survives? Because so far, it's like Bitcoin is the technological, as I said, even in the earlier space, like for me, Bitcoin is the change. Yeah.
Mhm.
So when people say, okay, yeah, we've innovated this, we built that, change in this, with democratizing whatever we're doing, right? Yeah, Bitcoin is the change that enables all of that level of thinking to be able to happen and that level of building to be able to happen. Even if you think about, let's say, Ethereum, you think about Mastercoin, Namecoin, anything that was built, yeah, after Bitcoin is firstly looking at Bitcoin. Everything.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a competitor, whether it works with Bitcoin or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's you know, and if Bitcoin technically fails, yeah, everything else comes to a standstill, because here you have the Titan, the Goliath that has been taken down. And if that is taken down, where do people go next? It's not going to be as simple and clear cut. Just jump onto Ethereum, you know, or with if you look at coin market cap here, there's 2 million plus different tokens and blockchains versus this one behemoth of a blockchain that just does what it's supposed to do, like all the time, 24/7, 100% uptime in the last 15 years, right? Yeah. So for me, Bitcoin is more like a layer 0, yeah. However, we can't realistically. Bitcoin is layer 1, right? Because layer 0 would really be the internet. Like if we're looking at the OSI model again, right? Yeah, right. Because we have to have the infrastructure there first, right? So from Bitcoin layer 1, right?
But then aren't we then theoretically saying that if we're saying that TCP/IP that's running the infrastructure, right? We've literally layered another network on top of an existing network.
Yeah. However, remember that without TCP/IP, Bitcoin still functions from satellites, and it's been that way for a number of years. I think it's like 2016 the first satellite was launched for Bitcoin. I think that was Liquid Network in 2016, 2017, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So there's a number of satellites now as well that are up in, you know, I've spoken to a lot of space kind of technology founders, and, you know, loads of them like have like done it as, you know, if they're into crypto, they've done it as kind of like a project of theirs. So one of the kind of like really notable ones in the space is if you look at Copernic space, right? Yeah, Copernic, right? They launched a Bitcoin node into space as well, you know, and there's projects that have launched Bitcoin miners into space.
Okay.
And we know that Bitcoin can be used, you know, via the Lightning Network as well through the satellites using just a GSM phone, yeah, like a text message phone. That's what they do in Africa, like predominantly, you know. So so in terms of, yeah, like you say, we've kind of put one network on top of another network, but this network that is the Bitcoin network could really operate independently of the other network. And I mean, knowing that you understand the OSI stack as well, right? Yeah. Like I reminded somebody in a meetup that I went to the other day where they were saying, you know, like about TCP/IP, and I'm like, TCP/IP is like one of 8 like protocols that like are popularly used to access the internet. It's just the most popular one and the one that displays the information in the easiest way to read, you know.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's not other protocols in which people can use to access the internet. So
well, I think the thing that I'm trying to get clarity on, or at least trying to like where I sit most nights saying I need to understand this more, is that I agree with you, right? Like I do think then Bitcoin is technically, you know, layer 0, because you know, if you try to compare it with like TCP/IP, it's like there's so many different protocols that live on top of TCP/IP, right? SSH. I mean, the list is endless. HTTP. It's just on and on and on. I guess I keep saying, okay, what is additional protocols that will live inside of Bitcoin? You know, there's a few at the moment that I know of, but you know, Lightning. You know, there's some other things out there, but things that are integrated, which will then change the perspective. Like, where's the SSH for Bitcoin? Where's the HTTP? Where's the IMAP? Because we still need a bunch of these, I'll just call utilities, but we still need these protocols or utilities to be developed so that we can then build on top of that. If someone's like, well, you know, email doesn't even exist if you get rid of POP and IMAP, let's say. But we had to develop those first before we could implement the actual like client side, the interaction of like explaining how, I mean, just think of like the inner workings of email is just absurd. What it used to be 30 years ago to now is like significantly different, right? And so I just keep thinking like, where are these things that we need to build so that we can then enable the next build? And it's like repetitive, right? Because the guy that invented SSH is getting 0 for his, like, could you imagine SSH being part of Bitcoin and you know, every time it gets used, he's getting a reward or, you know, being participate? I mean, it'd be absurd in a good way. but I'm just very curious on anyone's take on what are those things that we should be at to be building on, or is it just a freaking green pasture and it's kind of like go digging until you find something that sparks interest?
I think
Sure.
it's a mix of the two personally, because again, yeah, just going back to what we've been talking about for the last couple of minutes is literally like, as you said, like you've got this wide open field where all of these things can happen. And I think even from the perspective that we were just talking about, we need to, again, it can splinter off into so many different things, right? Yep. Like when we said just the Lightning, yeah, like, and we're talking about stacks, RSK and stuff like that. These are things that, although they're building other utilities on Bitcoin, right? The core utility of these, let's say, layers, yeah, is Bitcoin as a monetary network, right? Yeah. So I think that we need to kind of distinguish that, is that now that we've got ordinals and we've got like recursive inscriptions and stuff like this, this is opening it up into more than just a monetary network, right? Yeah, right. More than just a money and more than just a monetary network, which is something that, if you're an Andreas Antonopoulos fan, which is that who I predominantly listened to when I was learning about this at first, back in like 2013, 2014, he's always said this about Bitcoin. It's not, it will start off as money, and then it will become the monetary network, and we'll see what the power of that is, and grow into like this, just like, again, this network that we will build protocol upon protocol upon protocol on, that almost becomes kind of like the new internet with the money integrated into it, which is why I kind of say, like the term Web3. Yeah, you can't say Web3 and it doesn't include Bitcoin, because it doesn't make any sense. Bitcoin ushers in Web3. There's nothing else changed that. Do you understand? Like Ethereum, yes, it gave us the ability to explore doing things without damaging Bitcoin, right? So when we say, Ethereum is testnet, right? It almost really is testnet, because at the time of Vitalik launching Ethereum, it was just a test to see if this could happen, by using a separate network, than Bitcoin. So yeah, no, again, like just dialing back a little bit, the layer kind of 1, 2, and kind of 3 that we talk about, because there are layer 3s going on in Bitcoin, like and I would say layer 3 are more where it gets closer to becoming more customer facing protocols, where the customers are not, or users, or are not having to worry so much about the back-end technology and just how to use it. There's a project on RSK called Money on Chain, and they are kind of targeting that L3 kind of angle, which is in South America. They're using, like on-chain transactions and dexes and stuff like that, but making it very, very simple. So it's like remittance services and all of that kind of stuff, like clearing that lane and making it as simple as possible for the people on the ground. So you could say that is layer 3, because layer 2 just enables you to be able to do that. Do you understand, right? Like
No, absolutely.
RSK.
I think the clarity in the context of, if we're saying L3 is more customer facing, then I think it's just a wide open field of a bunch of L2. I'll call them just protocols, but there's a bunch of L2. I don't know what you call them. There's just L2s. Like, you don't call them apps. You don't call them services. You don't, like, there's something in L2 that would significant, because, like, again, if you're saying L1 is just the Bitcoin layer, Bitcoin's already shown it's dominant, it's powerful, it has resilience. I mean, again, it's stable. It's just this ongoing network that just has resistance, right? Okay, great. So the network's solid as a rock. Now it's like L2 is wide open, where it's like, if I'm hearing you correctly, it's like you go off L2 wise, you're not looking for consumer usability per se, right? You're looking for something that would be like, hey, I made this thing and 300 developers use it every day in their projects, and then whatever they're using in their projects, that might be a customer facing product. That's L3, but maybe there's definitely a gap from L2 to L3, and then there's that whole adoptability at L3, right? Like, there's a whole web, like, I would say L3 is like Web3 then, right? Where like it's to the point where like most people will be like, I don't really care about the technology, but here's this cool thing happening on the chain, or here's this cool thing happening in Bitcoin. They may not even care, but there's a lot of recreation happening in the L2 space.
But the craziest thing about this, right, like, again, just going back to the OSI model, right? OSI model, you have to jump through each of these hoops, each of these layers, right, with the data. Yes. With Bitcoin, we don't, even as I said, just highlighting with inscriptions and ordinals and stuff. It all starts with like the user is the developer. Do you understand, right? Like so So whereas we're used to this world of like always end user, now it's like you can start anywhere with layer. So within these layers, so you could be at layer 1 and still create a consumer facing product like a Bitcoin wallet, right?
Okay.
Yeah. You could be at L2 and still create another consumer facing product, but that it has more functionality, or it does some different things with the protocol that is protected in L1. So you're not damaging L1, or you're not doing certain things in L1, but some of the stuff is happening, obviously with Lightning off chain, on chain, and then you could obviously what Stacks is doing with SBTC is to try and make it all on chain, and then you could jump in at L3 and say, I just want control over my data. Yeah, and I'd imagine that's where L3 kind of would be, and then I'd say L4 would be more like directly, like I'm just downloading an app. I just don't care what is going on behind the scenes. I'm just using it. Right?
Yeah. But I think it's a interesting perspective. What you just said is that regardless of the number of layers, but all layers then have users where that is so counter to what the current stack is, where it's like you don't get to most people aren't contributing to SSH. They're like, they use it, they're terming in, they're doing some stuff with it. Great, let's have fun, whatever they're using. But they're usually not, even like, let's say FTP or something. You're going to use an FTP client, but you're not going to go hack at the FTP protocol, right? And in this case, you're saying all layers and depending on the individual's interest, can dive into any layer and say, yeah, I'm going to do L2. I'm going to make something in L2. I'll forget I'm going L3. I'm going to go L4. Man, I want to go to L0 or I want to go to L1. And in each layer, there's its own customer or own involvement of community, et cetera, right? Like, it's so vast where I think it just continuously creates this rabbit hole of, I guess, again, maybe there is, an open-ended product line here of services, products, whatever, that could be foreseen forever, right? Because there isn't necessarily an end at this moment. We can't say, oh, it caps off at L15.
100%, and it's just exploratory. That's exactly what it is. It's exploratory, and even with the OSI model, as you said, the OSI model took years to come about into the OSI model. Yeah, and really, all these different layers in the OSI model is funny because they do very much resemble the thinking that we are thinking now. That it starts here, it goes to there, then it goes from here to there, and then it gets encapsulated in this, and then it goes off into the wider world, which it has to get unwrapped again at the other end, almost like a wrap tokens, isn't it? Right?
Yeah. No, it really is, because then I think, like what you said, there's like, it's worth the investigation or discovery of looking at the models that pre-exist the current internet, because even though, right, like we can say that the internet TCP, whatever, it has its downtime, it has stuff, but it still has quite a fascinating history behind how they, again, router switches and the networks and et cetera, and how we do have some craziness of reliability to some degree. But it would be fascinating to look at the comparison of the two and saying, I'm curious if, does Bitcoin need this particular protocol ported over, right? Like, do we need to bring some of the current models that work really well, or can we improve upon them? Or, look at that as from a historical standpoint, saying, yeah, like Bitcoin should have this capability. And then there's always that thin line of keeping it, to the purest aspect. But, at this point, if we just look at the comparison possibilities, maybe the roadmap is slightly there, because it's like some of those protocols have been, tried and true by hundreds of millions of connections every day for the last, 50 years, let's say 30 years. But it would be really interesting just to compare the two, or saying, how does is there a larger perspective on the current model for Bitcoin or the layers to say, okay, how vast and what's being developed? And then how does that compare to the current stack for TCP IP, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's something that has been, as I said, interesting to me for a very long time, because of the when I first learned about Bitcoin, I was doing my Network Plus. I was looking to go do the CCNA, and I was looking to dive down the ethical hacker route. So that's where I was in life when I actually discovered Bitcoin. Yeah, aside from other things that I was doing. So I was working in a VoIP telecoms company, and yeah, straight away it touted me. I know about the OSI model long before that, because it's just my interest in computing and networking. But it really jumped out to me that when I discovered what chain was and how the blockchain worked, yeah, it was like, wow, this literally is like, you know, layer 0. This is the start of everything all over again, you know? So, yeah.
That's crazy. All right, no, that definitely helpful. I can leverage some of that. That's great.
Awesome. Any other questions? Anyone else have anything else to say? All right, then we're gonna wrap it up. Thanks to all of those who listened, joined, spoke. A big thanks to our whole team over at STX London. A huge shout out to STX Australia, and great discussion at the end. Thanks to Devek.